Right. I don't know what that is that's showing through. Oh, a bit of white. I'm trying to get the camera so you can see. That's better, isn't it? Yeah, you can see everything. Yeah, I'm just been putting some of these into folders. As you can see, there's just, well, over 2,000. So this one, which is, stuff like that, is, I forget that I've done these, so I'm as impressed when I see them as anybody else. Can't remember doing them, and put a date on them, all the sort of, these were, I don't know if we can get these in the shop, there you go. These were a series of the same woman. You can see there, you've got that one, and then there's the one from the back, that one. There. That I don't know why I don't. It was just somebody. She was just walking down the stairwell, and I took a picture or took stills as she walked down the stairwell from a series. I don't know what the film was. I can't remember. It was a film of some kind, or was it a film? Yeah, it might have been. It wasn't the drama. The Shine's not got on there, is it? And yeah, it's. So I've just put in 100 and something in this folder. This one has 160 pockets in it. It has 80 in it. So I was thinking about, I did a speed up of that one I'll be doing another one for end of the month. So I did Frankenstein the year before and then Dracula last year. So I don't know what I'll be doing this year. Then I've run out of haunted characters. That could be a witch, won't it? If I can find a decent witch to draw. And so this is, I've just put these in here now. So this one has 160 in it, as I say, and I've got another 19 of these that have 100 in them. So the maths tells me I've done more than 2,000. So that was the other thing as well, as you can tell, some of these are recent, some aren't, and they just get mixed up. So, which is quite cool, really. And I like the people talk about you need to see your progression, all that kind of thing. I quite like the idea of not seeing the progression. I can't remember doing them, and I'm impressed when I see them. And I think that's cool. I think it's cool. There's too much of this. You got to just sort of, diarise your progress. I think that's what this does. I'll tell you what this does. It just shows that your, how your work, your response to a face, for instance, how that fluctuates, and there are all kinds of reasons why. I know it's to do with the mindset, and I talk about it all the time, but it is definitely because I'm a responsive artist, I respond, and I can't think of a better way to make portraits than to respond to somebody, to respond to a face. I can't think of any better way to do that. You can mechanically measure the face and just copy the features and everything else, but I don't think that's going to get you the true self, the true individual. I think you're going to have to connect with them in some way, even if you've done all the mechanics, the engineering stuff. So as I say, I like the idea of them all being pretty random and being mixed up with each other. And seeing, you can sometimes it's weird. I can see that some of them worked and some of them didn't, but I can see sometimes that the earlier one, there aren't any early ones in this, so I can't really. That's probably an early one. As is that one as well. But if I was to, let me just get another one of the folders and see if I can show you some of the earlier stuff. So I've got all these things. See, these are earlier ones, but they're no that one's no less. I mean, that's probably 2-year-old, but they're no less. There's Frankenstein. I was thinking about trying to find the video for that today, but they're no less than the ones that are. Let me just say that ones there you go. There's a recent one that's probably within the last month. That one there, right? That one there. So, and these are no less. I don't know, well executed, sort of stuff like that, which is, when I get into, there's a certain place when I know that, for instance, when I know that this, in essence, someone's just been talking about starting, and I've done 10 starts to show you how I start, and this is how I start. Right, so there's not an awful lot of construction that goes on. It is all to do with the dots, and it's all to do with understanding the relationships of those dots, and that I think is you can see that in a lot of the drawings, things like that, for instance. You can see that it's kind of irrelevant, the construction side of things, but you can see that it's just about. Let me see. For me, it's all about the purity of marks. I'm not really interested in execution. So that, for instance, that is all about the purity of marks, and has to be this pure essence, intention. There's not really a lot of construction, certainly not a lot. It's more implication and suggestion, but for me, that embodies probably more than. And this is over a year old, so this compared to the more current one, there's no difference really. It still has that purity of line. Whether my skills have got any better, it's kind of a consequence. It always will be a consequence of this pure intention thing. So I'm not really. I'm not mind that. And as I say, I quite like the idea of things being mixed up in terms of their chronological order. It's kind of it's cool to see them randomly mixed up. You see, the thing is, I don't really think about this as you normally think about it. People are thinking, well, I'm going to, diarize my progress and see where I've come from, but all of that doesn't sit with me at all. I think I need to be constantly expressing and responding and expressing, and in some way that there has to be a progress. It kind of contradicts what an artist is for me. An artist isn't a crafter. A crafter might want to chronologically catalogue their progress, but that's not me. I just want every human response that I make to be as in the moment and as relevant as if I did it 2 years ago, whether I did it last week or like yesterday when we did this one, which was which we're now moving in the classes. We're now moving into more figurative stuff, so it's not just heads. Challenging, I suppose, but I think that ultimately we'll get to a point where they're almost full figures. It's challenging in the sense that I only work in A3, so because of the the physical size of the studio. So, but as I said, it's just a natural progression, I suppose, in a way. And some will go back to doing this kind of thing. That's an early one. That's probably 3-year-old, that one. But look at that. Look at the time I looked at that and thought that was probably the best drawing I'd ever done. And since done many more that I feel the same about. But that is, things in that. There are things in that there's such purity of intention with that. This is the thing. When you see some kind of contrivance that somebody's, applied to a drawing, where it's sort of they can see there's a deliberation about it. It loses all its life, and I don't think that people really appreciate that. that it's the life that we're trying to find, that we're trying to connect with. It's not about it's not about how well you blend your tones, or how well you drag the charcoal around, or whatever it might be that you use as a criteria. It's not about those technical issues. But as I say, there's 160 in that one, and there's 100 in that one, and there's 19 of these little ones, and then there's one of these. Because, to be quite honest with you, this, I mean, it's got, it says it's 160 drawings in it. It weighs a ton. So actually, walking around with that or showing anybody that is difficult, because it's such a big thing to, like, me showing you how thick it is. Right, that's how thick it is. You see there, look, where am I? There. So that's how many pages there are in there. So, like I say, that's why I've done the thinner ones. In fact, I started with the thinner ones. I bought this later on, thinking it would be a lot easier, just put one in one place, but it's too heavy. It's far too heavy. It's okay. I mean, it's not damaging the stuff, and it doesn't make it fold up or anything, because sometimes with these folders, you're buying these folders, be careful with the cheap ones, because they're either not actually A3, in which case your paper buckles up, but some of them have, where they hinge, they build up. If there's only one hinge on it, it will build up in the hinges, and as it builds up, it distorts the paper, it bends it over. So be careful. You buy the really cheap ones. These are cheap, but they're not the really, really, really cheap ones. So anyway, that's me. 2,000 drawings plus, and there's 2 scheduled for today. So watch this space. It's just going to keep growing. I don't know what's going to happen to them all, mind, but there's. And I'm running out of space. So the wife says I've got to stop drawing. So that's never going to happen. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one.